Broadcasting from the Penguin Air Plumbing and Electrical Studios, we're your hosts, Will Hallett and Wade Rusk, and this is the Penguin Pro Show. The Penguin Pro Show is an informative podcast talking about air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and electrical systems in the home. Each week, we bring on a panel of professionals to educate listeners on different topics related to these systems. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning. Morning.
It is, what's today? September 16th.
Yep.
This is our 23rd episode. For you listeners, please go ahead and subscribe, like, comments. We love them all. We're getting a little better at this, I believe, as the shows go by.
I would like them to comment that if we're getting better or worse.
Yeah, that'd be good to know.
Yeah.
So you listeners, please comment if it's getting better or worse. Last week, and it's probably not out yet, right?
It's not. No.
Jonathan's working on a big show. We had to kick off the NFL season. We had a NFL fantasy draft in here.
Awesome.
It was fun. He's going to really cut it down because it was over an hour, wasn't it, Jonathan?
An hour and 15 minutes.
So that was really fun. Football started. This is always my favorite time of the year, okay? September also starts to get cooler here in Arizona. Even though we own an AC company, it is a love-hate, right? We want to cool down eventually and enjoy our time with our families and the weather outside and go for a walk here and there. It's just been a brutal summer. It's been humid.
Been long.
It feels like, I don't know, is it the humidity that made it longer?
I don't know. I mean, we were just setting records again last week, right? I mean, heat records last week.
Yeah, it's drying out.
Just been really hot, and I know most of the guys are ready for a break too. I mean, just it's been a long season for them working out there in the heat.
I know, and for you listeners, we're broadcasting from Phoenix, Arizona. Penguin Air Plumbing and Electrical is a AC heating, cooling business, and electrical and plumbing here in Phoenix, Arizona. Wade Rusk is under the weather today, so he's not going to be joining us. But Jay Klein, general manager here at Penguin Air Plumbing and Electrical, and Jeff Frye, company advisor here with sales for the HVAC side.
Correct.
Is joining us. We're going to get into some fun things that we've all had experience with. All three of us have experience in the HVAC world. Jay, myself, and Jeff, of course, many years, probably over 60 years experience right here in the room or more.
None of you really look that old.
Oh, we're old. I'm getting old.
Yeah.
In fact, today, Jonathan, I don't know if I should just talk about this, but I had my first consultation for stuff that you have to do over 45. Right?
Oh, super fun.
Oh, yeah. So,
Don't you have to drink like a nice jug of liquid before that?
Yeah, this is coming up in a month. I'm really excited about it. So I'll be 47. Yeah.
Wow.
So all the fun parts of getting old. I have glasses now. I don't have them on today.
That means I'm the oldest one here. That's
Yeah.
painful.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if all the work you.
I am 50.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Not much.
Remember celebrating, seeing that on Facebook.
So
yeah.
real quick, guys, give us a quick skinny on how you two did, because we can't speak for anybody else, how you two did on last week's opening round of...
Oh, fantasy?
Yeah.
So I got crushed because Aaron Rodgers got me a whopping 1 point. Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate that. You wanted to retire. You should have retired, bro.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
He held out for what?
I know.
That was rough. That was like, not only him, the whole team was just, it was a rough showing.
It was.
They just got
manhandled,
really.
So I'm sure you're happy about that, right? Being from where you're from, Midwest,
From Ohio.
Ohio. Yes. You're a Cleveland fan?
I'm actually a Steeler fan.
Oh, okay. Because they're across the way there, not too far from Ohio.
Correct.
I get it.
And it's hard to be a Cleveland fan.
Well,
It was growing up.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
They're going to be good this year, even though they lost to Kansas City right out of the gate. But I think they're going to be.
It was great. It was a
contenders,
great game.
It was a good game, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good games actually.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, here in Arizona, they legalized sports betting.
Yes.
Okay, so I read yesterday that $6 million in bets were made, and out of that $6 million, I made $80.
Oh,
Yeah, you guys should download that app.
Winner,
It's
winner,
pretty
chicken
cool.
dinner.
So they're giving right now. They're giving a lot of free
So Will's buying lunch.
incentives
Yeah,
right now.
exactly.
So like $200 in free bets right now. Some of them even more.
Yeah, I saw one of them. Like if you
Do it.
spend $1, you get $200 for free to bet.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been using their money, house money. I know it's good till the end of this week, so you guys can make some bets on these Sundays game. Download an app, and there's
Except
tons of them.
Wait, you started with 200 and you're only up 80?
No, it's free money. I just use theirs. So
That's actually
out of that 200, so
it's funny math.
I know it doesn't make sense. I tried to explain this to Wade too, and he was like, "What? No." So they give you 200 in free bets or free.
Yeah,
whatever.
I get it. I was just giving you a hard
Got
time
it.
about
All right.
yeah.
So and there's all sorts of things you can bet on. I didn't know this world ever. I've never done any sports betting. I'm still learning the over and the under, and then you can bet on like how many passing yards over under. You can bet on like crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable what you can bet on. So.
Well, if you need help, just to let you know, so some of the plumbers and service techs, we run our own fantasy football league, and my team scored the highest this week. So if you need some help, just let me know.
Oh yeah, I need lots of help.
Costs about
Nice.
$80, but I can help you out.
Oh, is that your hourly fee?
Yeah. That's a console fee?
That's right. Consultation.
No, it's
fee.
fun. Fantasy's fun. I've never really gotten into it for money, but you guys are playing for money, right? The Plum-
We are playing for money, yes.
And for you listeners that are looking to join Penguin Air, there's a lot of fun stuff that happens over here. In fact, the fantasy drafts, poker nights. What else we got? They all get together.
Oh, we do quite. I mean, we just had a breakfast for AC
did,
this morning. We all went out and celebrated last month and had a nice little breakfast this morning. So
Yeah, we like to feed you guys here too.
Spontaneous
I see-
cornhole competition?
I see the food bill at the end of the month, every month. We like to eat.
Different
Yeah.
ones,
That's
for
the
sure.
rate.
You know, that's how you get to the heart, food, right?
that's it.
So
Jay, how'd you do on your draft?
I beat Wade. So beat Wade week 1. So that was kind of nice. And really, I got 3 quarterbacks that all scored like 30 points. So
I know it's a
I
weird
can,
league.
I can make a trade for you if you want.
We're playing this league where you have play 2 quarterbacks.
Yes.
It's kind of strange.
We can't play 2 quarterbacks though.
No, they said that 2 quarterbacks
can't.
get points. No,
No, I tried.
That's what Caden did. I don't know.
Well,
Maybe it's
Caden
a
told
flex.
me.
Can you put a quarterback in as
No,
a
you
flex?
can't. And that's what I was like. I drafted 3 quarterbacks because Caden said that we could play a quarterback as a flex, but you can't. So I'm like, now I got 3 quarterbacks that I wasted drafts on.
I don't know. Too
And they all
much.
scored like 30 points. I had 2 quarterbacks on the bench scoring
Well, you
30
beat
points.
Wade, so that's a
know.
bonus.
But like I said, I can help you out with your Rodgers problem.
Okay, we'll make a trade. We'll talk later.
For one of Jay's bench quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk about the team though. That looked freaking amazing.
The Bears.
Oh no,
No.
the Cards. Can you believe
played
that game,
well.
guys?
Played well.
I mean, I was like, is this for real right now? Like, they're that good?
They look good.
Are they that good? That's something I don't know, but
As much
'cause
as I wanna believe
Titans
it.
were good last year, the AFC
Yeah.
Championship game. So I mean, that defense, if it stays healthy, I don't think anybody can run on them or do anything on them. To tell you the truth.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's our up front is really strong, of course. And that's, I mean, of course, Watt wasn't even, he had a decent game.
But but they have to double team somebody. They can now.
Yeah. And with Chandler Jones then coming off the other end and just,
lighten it up.
wrecking everybody's world there. It was,
Three
was
sacks in the
incredible.
first quarter?
yeah.
Yeah, 2 forced fumbles. I mean, it was incredible.
5 sacks total for
Those
the
two are
game.
going to have a great year.
And I thought Murray did actually pretty good.
He played well.
I've been skeptical of
Yeah.
A1. He stepped up. Mm-hmm. We'll see how the play calling goes throughout the year, but I'm excited, man. The Cardinals are gonna they play like that. They're gonna be going far. So
One of my quarterbacks, by the way.
A1 is?
Murray, yeah.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Who's your other 2?
I have Hurts.
Hurts. Oh,
Jalen Hurts for
Philly.
He did well.
Yeah.
He had a really good game. And then Trevor Lawrence.
Oh wow, the Rook.
Yep. And
one pick.
he did well.
He's
for
going to have a
Jaguars.
great year because they're going to be behind in every game.
Yep. So he's going to
So-
have to be throwing the ball.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's a
Same
good
reason
point.
I picked a couple of his receivers. So I'm like, he's going to be tossing that ball around a lot.
He is.
Well, we can talk football all day, listeners. I mean, it's the greatest time of the year, right? So for the next 4 months, we just get to enjoy our Sundays again. So let's change gears a little bit. Jeff, you've been on the show twice, right?
Yes.
Last time we had you on, we were talking about the experience of buying a new AC unit, what that should look like.
Correct. We identified some potential issues to look for when it's time to replace an issue, and then kind of what the sales process looks like.
Yeah, that was fun. And that's our world. Today, though, Jay, we're going to talk about hot and cold spots, mainly hot spots. Jay brought up a funny story, when we all used to be in the field, and Jeff still is in the field, so he gets to experience all the fun stuff still. Is the argument that couples have, in the home about what the thermostat should be set at. Okay, that's always fun. And we can talk a little bit about that. You were sharing a story, So what should that thermostat be set at? How should it be set at? Programmable thermostats, usually what we see now everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Jeff?
Yes.
Let's start with thermostats. That's the main point of what all this starts with, right? So
Yep.
let's start with thermostat.
Yeah, so I always say set it at what you're comfortable at. I mean, literally just what you feel comfortable at in your home, set it at. Every home is different. Like you can set every thermostat. Like it's amazing. You can walk into, and Jeff can contest this as a tech, you can walk into some homes and at 80 degrees, they feel cool. You walk into the same home at 78 or a different home and it feels hot at 78. So they're all different. Thermostats read a little bit different, exactly where they're at in the home, where they're located, where the air flows at. So I just say set it at what you're comfortable at, right? You're not going to be overly cold, overly hot. You're not really going to kill yourself in utilities as long as it's just comfortable. So set it at what you're comfortable at, and then be careful when you leave. Most programmable thermostats nowadays are better because, of course, you can program it for your times coming and going. I just suggest definitely don't go above 5 degrees difference from your setting, because most people come home 5 or 6 in the afternoon when it's the hottest outside. If they either shut off their thermostat or turn it up 10 degrees, one, their house has built a ton of heat BTUs. So now they're trying to cool that home down, hottest part of the day outside, so your air conditioner's running like crazy in hot weather outside. They're trying to cool it down 10 degrees inside that's built up heat, and it'll take into the evening to cool that down. It's actually easier for the unit, more energy efficient for that unit to maintain a temperature throughout the day. It'll actually run less just maintaining that temperature than it will trying to catch up in the hottest part of the day. And then, like I say, you won't really be cool until in the evening anyways.
Yeah, so that question always came up, right? What should it be set at? And then you would get the people that say they turn it off completely.
Yep.
Now, we are hearing from more utility companies to go this super cool, right? I don't agree with it, okay? I don't know about you, Jeff, what you're hearing out there now, because this is new, okay? It wasn't around when I was selling AC units. So what are people doing? Are they going to this super cool concept of cranking it down at night to like low 70s and then turning it off and waiting until like 5 o'clock to turn back on?
Well, and even now
that?
they're wanting to do it a little bit backwards. And the reason that this is changing and it's coming up is solar. So all these utility companies, when you see like at these grocery stores, are putting up this huge solar panel setup, right? Well, they don't have enough batteries to store that energy. So they're actually now producing in the middle of summer a ton of solar power, but they don't have a way to store all that power. So they're actually wanting homeowners now to start using that power during the day so they don't actually lose it and bleed it off. So they're wanting customers now to more pre-cool their houses during the day and then shut them off more off-peak hours at night when they're not building solar.
When you're sleeping?
When you're sleeping, but they want you to pre-cool your house to like 72 during the day, but you're asking your air conditioner now when it's 115, 120 out to try and cool that home to 72 degrees, which is, it's brutal on your air conditioner.
Correct.
Some
Yeah,
won't
it's
do it,
beyond
some will
capacity.
freeze up.
Well, especially if you do turn it off and try to get it to 72, forget about it, especially here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Especially when it's monsoon season and the humidity's holding all that heat now. Yep. It's never going to drop the temps.
So the thing about, super cooling at night is that every home is different. Mm-hmm. So depending on how your insulation is, depending on how your home is built, depending on how that envelope is, you could be just cooling your house for nothing. You may not see that huge benefit. So again, I think to what Jay said, every home is different. You really have to almost play with the thermostat. But to me, comforted to me is immeasurable. So to me, you want to be comfortable. Yeah. And it's still amazing to me. I think we mentioned it when I was here a few months ago that it's amazing what people in Phoenix put up with. They just accept. I need a $400 bill. I got 3 rooms that are just miserable. We can't even sleep in them. And that's just the way it is. And they have no idea that there are actually remedies and things that we can do to actually fix that.
Well, let's talk about those remedies.
Yeah, I mean, fans, like I say, people with fans is a consistent, right? Like I sleep with a fan.
Yep.
Like that's normal.
Yeah, so let's talk about the remedies because you're in the home, Jeff. You're seeing things, new construction, they just slap these units up there, run ductwork anywhere they can, size-wise. There's called T-wise for you listeners out there. It's like a sprinkler system. You run one duct, a bigger duct down, and then you Y off of that many times into the rooms. And air is just like water flows just like air. So where there's least resistance, that air goes. So those are the biggest problems I remember when I would sell. I'm going to provide comfort for you. We're not just going to, because if you just put a box on there, Jeff, it's not going to solve the issue, right?
Right.
So talk a little bit about how you can fix that.
Well, again, going back to each home is different. We actually had the conversation at breakfast today about a certain style of home. We see it a lot kind of in the older Phoenix where you have a lower ceiling in the hallway. You have a drop soffit. That's where the ductwork is. And they're pretty identifiable by where the supply register is. As soon as you walk into the room, and if you turn behind you, it's usually right above the door. That's a drop soffit system. And those are really challenging because all of your heat gain is coming from the outer walls and the windows. And here, all of your airflow is coming from the center of the home, and you're trying to push out. And there's a lot of companies that will try to sell higher efficiency systems, two-stage systems that have less airflow, which are actually causing more problems in that home. So I think the first thing to do is identify exactly what system you have.
That's a good point.
And then even on the duct systems, like you mentioned, there's a lot of homes that we run into that as soon as we walk in, there's a specific home. Sometimes it's in the southwest corner or it's a thumb room, meaning the room juts out from the main portion of the home where it's got 3 exposed walls. So a lot of the questions that I'll ask homeowners are, when the AC is running, is that room hot?
And you already know what the answer is.
Correct. A lot of times. And then I'll also ask, hey, if the door is closed to that room, is that room hot or cold? Because sometimes it's either a lack of supply air getting to that room, so it just doesn't have enough CFM of air to cool that space down. Or when the door closes, eventually that air will start to diminish going into that room. So then it's a return air. So there's, it's just asking some questions, just trying to identify it.
I love that you're bringing this up because homeowners, majority of people that sell AC units in this valley do not talk about the comfort. Okay, all they're doing is trying to sell a customer a box. Okay, here at Penguin we train, and that's why I love Jeff being part of our team. Is he's so knowledgeable in airflow, because if we can change people's comfort, we won't have the people calling us saying, "Hey, I just spent, $8,000 to $15,000 on a new system, and nothing's changed."
Yeah.
Right. So, and I like how you brought up how the soffit, and the soffit is that trunk line running through that hall.
Correct.
Okay. If you have a home, listeners, that was built from the 40s to the 80s, okay, more than likely you have a soffit here in Phoenix, Arizona, and the only way to get that house comfortable with the new systems we have today, because they don't push as much BTU or airflow is not as, they in fact bring the BTUs down now to bring the SEERs up, right? And that's another discussion.
Yeah.
Right? So the airflow is going down to get the efficiencies up. Putting a unit that used to push a lot more airflow on a soffit system, the home, and there's a lot of homes that were built from the 40s to the 80s. If you have
really,
a unit on the roof.
when you go back to the beginning on those homes were designed with that ductwork for a swamp cooler.
Correct.
Right?
Push a ton of air.
Which swamp coolers, for the listeners, they push out about twice as much airflow, sometimes 3 times as much airflow is the same air conditioner on your home. So the ductwork was designed a lot bigger to accommodate
pressure.
a lot more airflow. And now when you start taking these new high efficiency systems, like Jeff said, we won't put a high efficiency system on that home. You will not be happy. You'll spend a ton of money and not be happy.
We'll tell you no.
And it's so there's a lot of things that you got to look at, and that's the stuff that we train our guys to look at to make sure, okay, what system is best for the home? Where's your budget at, and where can we get you comfortable, right? With both, with budget and a nice AC that's going to keep you comfortable, and that's one of the biggest things with that. And like Jeff said, every home is different. So when you take these homes that he was talking about, that some of them have that little room that comes out. Well, I know in my neighborhood, I have the same exact floor plan of our house across the street.
Mm-hmm.
Same exact house across the street. Well, the sun comes up on one side and goes down on the other. So you can take that same exact room, that same exact house is built the same way. Ductwork is ran the same way in my house as it is across the street. But you take that room that's now exposed to the sun all day compared to mine that, say, was shaded all day.
Good point.
And now that room's going to be hotter. Mine will stay cool because it's been shaded, but that same exact room, same exact duct system that was installed in the house across the street doesn't work because the way that the sun is exposed
The
to
heat
it.
gain coming in.
So you really have to look at a lot of that and judge it, and that's why it's tough because every house is different. And really, I mean, in a perfect world, of course, it would be set up with one supply, one return, perfectly set up in each house. But we understand for builders that's
Which they're
not
getting
really
there.
realistic. They're starting to get there.
Yeah.
On some of these Energy Star rated homes,
Right.
yes.
It's amazing to me too, like when you look at, if you, because I'm in a lot of homes, meet a lot of people, I see a lot of cars. And it's amazing to me that just in general, especially here in Phoenix, that people will spend a large amount of money on a car that they will use approximately 2 hours of the day. I think that's the average here in Phoenix. And then, that's taken into commutes, going to the store, going to extracurricular activities for the children, things like that. Your AC system, which is responsible directly for your health, considering the indoor air quality and the kind of quality of sleep you get, people
I
will
didn't think
balk at spending a third of the cost they would for an AC system than they will a car. And a lot of it's attributed to the duct system. So we have a lot of companies out there that they don't care about the duct system. Again, they're trying to sell a box. They sell efficiency, but you're not really getting that because it would be like buying a car, brand new car with really bad tires. And going back to those drop soffit systems, to me it makes more sense to even buy a basic system. Redo your ductwork, you will be way happier, more comfortable, and your electricity bill will drop because your comfort level increases.
That is a good point about cars.
Yeah.
Holy
And
smokes.
the average adult spends over 80% of their time indoors.
Correct.
Especially now with COVID.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. So
I mean, people aren't going back to work. They learn that they don't have to. So the most important system on your home, the most important thing you have is that AC unit. And there's so many things that we can talk about that you can add to it to make it even more healthier and comfortable in your home, which we've talked about in other shows. But if you want maximized comfort to get good sleep, because, I've noticed when I've gotten older, like, I'm not getting great sleep. And I feel like my health is not as great as it used to be. So
like my house, the master bedroom, naturally it's a master bedroom, is on the second floor. It's south facing. The way the house is built, there's 3 exposed walls, and just to put the cherry on top, it sits over the garage.
you have heat gain coming from everywhere.
From
Yep.
everywhere.
Yep.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Then the fact that the attic access is in the master bedroom closet as well. So there's that. There's all those factors on the master. And it's interesting to touch on one of the things you guys mentioned earlier too, is, we turn the AC down just a couple degrees at night when we're ready for bed. Well, when I go to bed, even though the thermostat is kicked off, we set it at 76 at night. The thermostat will turn it down, it'll kick on. I'm still hot or warm till 2-3 o'clock in the morning because of that heat load, because everything's hot. The air by the thermostat, which is right outside the master bedroom door, gets cooled down, so it shuts off. But everything, like you said, that heat load is still there. We're still hot in that room until it starts to draw the heat out of everything in the master bedroom.
Well, everything has to cool down. So that's why I'm not a fan of ever turning off a system in the summertime, is because the furniture heats up, the walls heat up, the carpet heats up, pictures, the wood floor, everything heats up to that temperature. Now we got to take all the heat gain out of that. People don't realize that. It's not just the air, okay? It's all radiating heat. So
When it's interesting too, so you take a room like that, and so they may look at it from an engineering spec and say that room needs a 10-inch ductwork. What they don't take into consideration is who installed the system and how did that 10-inch ductwork get there? Because now it's just a cascading effect of if it's installed incorrectly, and you've got improperly sized return and supply plenums, and then you take the supply run off a certain area of the supply plenum, you're going to start diminishing what that 10-inch was supposed to get. So you're not even getting what it was engineered for to begin with. And again, these are all the things to me that as homeowners, we just accept. That just is what it is. We live in Arizona. It's hot, and it's a master bedroom. It's above the garage. It's always going to be hot. It doesn't have to be.
You don't have to live like that.
It does not have to
You
be.
do not.
And I think those are the most common is master bedroom. And speaking of working from home and COVID and stuff, is the home office.
Yeah.
Like that's the other room that usually in most kind of designs, it takes place of like that third garage that would be out front, which yet again, fully exposed, out by the entryway.
The den, yeah.
The that home office that nobody used to stay in during the day until all the COVID stuff happened. People started working from home, and now they're realizing, man, like this place it won't cool down. I know mine is the same way. Mine is what, in some, like I say, in some of the models, it was a third car garage. Ours is an office. My office is always hot.
Yeah, good point. These are all good points. I mean, I love that homeowners do not have to live like this. Okay, and when I would go sell ACs like Jeff does and you did, I was always getting in the attic. I was always looking at where that ductwork, how it got there, like you said.
Yep.
Okay, and I would give them solutions, and they'd be like, "No one's ever talked about this.
Yeah.
No one. You're the only one that's talked about this." Because we sell comfort here. I mean, sometimes people just want a box. We get that, and like they live with it, the status quo of this way they're going to live. But you don't have to. And I think on this show, that's the most important thing I can tell our listeners, especially here in Phoenix, Arizona, is you do not have to be uncomfortable in your home. There's a lot of things that we can change, and yeah, it's an investment. Yeah, it's going to cost some money, but it's going to make you damn comfortable in that home, just like it is in the wintertime here. And we can talk about cold spots too. And when it gets cold here, those same rooms are going to be cold, right?
Yep.
So
Every great once in a while, I'll come across a customer who will have a teenager that they don't care that much about the room being uncomfortable because they want them to get out anyway. But
That's smart.
for the most part.
in-laws, in-laws.
Yeah.
No, if
Guest-
you pay
guest room.
if you pay the utility bill, you pay that light bill, you better have the most comfortable room in the house. Is
Yeah.
what I tell customers.
Absolutely.
So that master bedroom better be nice and comfortable. So
I'll get on the schedule.
okay, let's get it going. In fact, my home, my master bedroom, and this home I bought 2 years ago, and I haven't got around to it yet because we've been so busy, is I want to put a ductless mini split. There's another option for customers that has become very popular. I have 3 exposed walls like Jonathan does. I don't have the garage underneath the floor, but I want a mini split in that master because it does not cool down, right? It does not cool down. It's downstairs. It's furthest away from all parts of the home. So a mini split's a good option. Customers don't know that. That's a ductless system that we can put in those rooms as well that don't cool down.
Yeah.
We convert Arizona rooms, people converting garages.
Yeah. The home office is
yeah.
another. Yep.
Yep.
These are all options that you have. You don't have to live that way. So, so let's talk a little bit about that. When you get up in the attic, talk about tell customers, let them know, or what are you seeing up there that creates this? And every home's different, but what's creating this problem? Mainly, this big problem of hot and cold spots.
Well, first thing when I get into an attic, I'm going to look at where this system is installed and look at the sizing to see if there's going to be any issues. Because there are some unique attics where they're limited in size. So we have to kind of sled. So usually we'll have a supply return plenum that comes off of either end.
And Jonathan will show them what a supply and return plenum is on the show here.
I can even show you a sled. It's not common, but every great once in a while we have to come off and then shoot straight up because that's the only space that we have. And a lot of times what I've seen is bad installs. So we're taking runs off immediately. So you have a coil and your fan blowing air across the coil. Now ACA, who is the American Contractors of America, the kind of the group in charge that's making sure everything is installed correctly. They want at least 12 inches from after that coil before the
That's
first
it?
run.
12 inches.
12 inches. Well, there are some supply plenums that are only
12
18 inches long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, wait a minute here. They're trying to get
That's
a 10-inch
oval
run.
on there.
Correct. So what ends up happening is that air is actually going to bypass that run because that box needs time to pressurize. and then it'll evenly distribute, to the air.
So what size should a plenum be? Let's talk. I know go back to what you're going to talk about, but what size should a plenum be?
Well, they're going to tell you a minimum 36 inches.
Good.
And then when you get into the 5 tons, they'll want you to go to sometimes 48 to 60 inches.
And we have 48s here, so we have 48 plenums here, and they're hard to put in these tight attics.
They are.
Okay, we have to cut them down sometimes to 36, but we always bring out a 48 inch, and keep going. Why we put those 48s or 36s on there?
Well, it's to get proper pressurization, and I mean airflow is a lot like water. It's going to take the path of least resistance. So what you want to do is create as even of a path resistance across the duct system as possible. And then again, you get into just because a room is designed for an 8-inch run, it may be off of a 12-inch run that they've wide to a 10-inch run, wide to 2/8 off to the left-hand side, and then on the other side they've got a 10-inch run that wides to 2/8 on the other side, and then the very last one, 40 feet away from the unit, is another little 8-inch run that goes into a room, and of course that room has no pressure. It's got nothing to actually push the air into that room. So a lot of times we'll have to actually take that 8-inch run and run it all the way back. We call it home run it back to the unit. And then, of course, there are some dampers, the things that we can put on to kind of balance the airflow better at the unit, which is actually better than, I know a lot of customers will, I don't use that room, I close off that vent. It's not recommended, again, because what that does is it creates back pressure on the fan. The fan will actually slow down. So instead of getting the desired CFM that you're supposed to get, now that fan is actually slower than what it's designed for. So you're actually causing more harm by closing off some of those vents in those rooms you're not using. You want to crack them open. You want to create a little bit of airflow in those rooms. So again, every house is different. I think and getting into the heart of this season right now, it's been a wonky summer, if you can say that, just from the humidity to the heat to the lack of equipment. We're still fighting, trying to get equipment to match it up, and certain different types of systems are on back order. Well, now is the time to me, because a lot of companies, and we're one of them, duct work, a lot of times we will kind of push off to this season. And it's just for the health also of our installers. You don't want them in the attic for 10 hours a day in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, it's just not safe. I mean, they can't sit up in a 140-degree attic for
reducting
long periods of time. Like it's just not safe. I mean, we want to make sure that they're around for their for their families. That's what they're working for.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. So now is the time to actually look at it. Now is the time to think back on, hey, this room, it's never been comfortable. How can we address it? And again, each home is different. I think that's what's unique about our job is even though we do the same thing, it's not the same thing.
That's a good point. So if you did get a new system in the last few years, or even this year, and they didn't talk to you about ductwork, we'd be glad to come out, no obligation, free consultation, come out and look at your ductwork. This is the perfect time as it starts cooling down.
It is.
To reduct your home.
Yeah, because a lot of times the guys in the field will tell them, like, hey, listen, if you're interested in ductwork, we'll wait until the fall because we don't have the time, and like I say, and two, it's just not safe for those guys to be up there that long, extended period of times in the attic. So we'll come back in the fall, evaluate that, and then we can worry about that when it cools down a little bit up there.
And this summer again was a little different too, because even getting the equipment, getting the flux, getting the actual
we were shortages on ductwork.
Everything.
And there's some small things that we can do too, as far as to me, a duct sealing, where we actually go in and seal the duct, is really important because, as we know, the higher efficient systems may not provide the same amount of cooling capacity as the older systems. So all the air that you can get is really important.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jeff.
So, getting in and sealing the ductwork, which isn't just sealing the ductwork at the system, it's actually removing the registers, sealing where the ducts connect to the supply and return cans, sealing around the envelope where they...
Jonathan will show this too. This is really important.
Yeah. And I tell a story, and it's kind of humiliating, but I learned the value of this when we first moved here from Ohio, and we bought a flat roof home, and we had a drop soffit system, and I sealed my duct system because of scorpions. Flat out, I'm terrified of scorpions.
And then you had better airflow because of it?
And I got better airflow. And it was just, I watched the reduction in my AC bill. It wasn't much, but like, oh my gosh, all because I sealed my ducts because I was terrified of scorpions.
Jeff, that is awesome. I mean, good points. I didn't even think about that in this show. And Jay, we talk about that all the time. And and customers can see that right away. So if you're listening to this show, you can look up where, Jay, and see if there's dirt around those vents.
Yeah, so it's usually like literally right on the ceiling. Right when you look right on the ceiling, right out of your vents, you'll see like little fine dust lines. I mean, really, in a sense, coming from right there, and or the very corners of the vents. And if you know you got that, you got dust coming in from somewhere.
That's coming from the attic. That is not coming from your home being recirculated through your system.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, oh, my ducts are dirty. No, that is ductwork. That is air pulling through those cracks around those registers, because when they drywalled their home, they didn't seal the drywall gaps between that and the can, we call it. And it just, as your home turns, the AC turns on, it pressurizes the house and it pulls from every crack, crevice, can lighting. I mean, you can look at all the dirt around
And
those
it's usually
things.
a super, super fine dust, almost like a baby powder
'cause it's
type
going
dust.
through what?
And because it's actually filtering through the insulation.
That's right.
So it's the super fine dust that's actually filtered through the insulation and has now made it onto the top of your drywall, and that's actually going to make it into the home. Super, super fine dust.
really unhealthy stuff too, because it's that fiberglass. It's
Won't get caught in filters.
No, it's
Yep.
it's bad news. So those are things that we do on a duct seal, not just in the attic, but we duct seal all the registers.
Yep.
Good point. That will help with airflow and hot and cold spots as well.
It can, absolutely.
Man, we can go on and on
Good.
because we've seen these things for years.
Yep.
And these are the things that we take pride in at Penguin Air Plumbing and Electrical, not just putting in a box, not just slapping a unit in there and calling it good. Your home, it's going to be comfortable. If it's not, we're going to come out, we're going to look at it. If we did give you the option for ductwork, I would say go with it.
Yeah.
Spend that money, do it right the first time.
Yep.
Yeah, but now's a great time to revisit that. If you've had that discussion in the past, now would be a great time to revisit it, or have somebody come out and do a free consultation to find out exactly what the solution would be.
Awesome.
One of the other things we're talking about that we offer as a service as well is a good example is the first house we bought, built in, I want to say 76. Block built home. I mean, the block itself has a pretty good R value. And I'm sure when they built the house, I probably had, 12, 14 inches worth of insulation up there. When I bought the house, I was down to about 3 or 4 inches of insulation up there.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Which is that, once again, it's a heat load in the attic, but this is one of the products and services we offer at Penguin
right.
is that insulation. We have the equipment and the processes to throw some more insulation in some of those areas where it might have settled in an older home.
Well, and one of the big things that is very interesting is, of course, insulation isn't glamorous whatsoever, right? You never see it. You don't know it's there. It does nothing, but customers will spend 10 to 15 times
On windows.
on windows
I know, I knew you
on
were
what they
going.
will spend
And insulation
on
solves
insulating
it all.
their whole attic. And it's amazing how much more beneficial that is compared to the amount of money they'll spend to put new windows throughout their home,
know.
right? And I get it, new windows look nice. They,
Quieter.
yeah, but it's crazy when you actually look at like the efficiency levels of if you have really very little insulation in the home, you can get it done for whatever ballpark couple grand to get new insulation throughout the home, and it'll do wonders compared to replacing 5 windows throughout the house.
That's
Definitely.
great to bring up too, because there are some homes even where the supply can that we talked about, the supply can, you can see it.
Yep,
In
on
the
the
attic,
top.
there's
And
no
it's not
insulation.
insulated.
Those are not
So when you're
insulated,
talking
yep.
130, 40, 150 degree air, that's a metal
Oven.
can.
Which is a thin metal can.
Yep,
Oven.
that's heated up, and now you've got 58, 60 degree air trying to come across that. Heat is going to transfer. So that hot room, these are all things that can contribute to hot and cold spots.
Yeah, insulation, which we do insulation here as well, like Jonathan was saying. We are a one-stop shop. We can take care of all your hot and cold spots, insulation, ductwork, new high efficiency unit. You're good for another 20 plus years if you do it right. Now, most systems only last 12 to 15 because they're not done right. They run longer, and insulation actually keeps that cold air in longer, so the AC doesn't have to cycle as much, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of things that people don't know what they can fix, and they just go with it. They just think that that's the way it is here in Phoenix because it's 115 all the time. So, no, it's not.
Yeah, there's literally been homes where I'll take like my laser thermometer and go to, and I've shined it on the roof and had like 115, 120 degree ceiling temperatures inside the home, and I'm like, that's how hot your ceiling is. The unit's not going to be able to cool this house. Like, it's just not. And for those homeowners who don't know, all insulation does is delays the heat coming into the home. That is all it does, is delays it.
That's right.
And you want to delay it for kind of a certain period so that the heat actually enters the home middle of the night when it's coolest out, right? That's literally what you're doing, is trying to take all that heat during the day, delay it from penetrating into the home until it's actually cool out and the unit can keep up. So if you don't have enough of that, well, your heat starts hitting the home at the hottest part of the day in the afternoon, and it just can't do it. It can't cool when it's too hot outside, and it just can't keep up, and that's where you start seeing those problems.
Yeah, good discussion. Thanks, Jonathan, for bringing that up. Anything else that homeowners should know about to keep their homes more comfortable? Get rid of these hot and cold spots in the home. Sweaters.
Sweaters and fans.
Bikinis.
Yeah.
Well, in your home, you can wear whatever you want, right? So I know I can.
No, really. Just if they have any questions, call us.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll come out and give you a free consultation. Jeff's always, he's the best. He knows his stuff. He knows how to get you comfortable, and that's what it's all about, right? It sickens me too, Jeff, that these guys just go out and they just slap a unit on there and cheap, just a box, I'm just like, we're not for everybody, I always say, but we are for most, and most people do want to be comfortable and fix the things that they want to do.
Well, that's a good, ending point, but it is something to be aware of. And I think homeowners need to be aware of that. And I think we've said it before, the lowest price doesn't guarantee you the best install. And typically they go hand in hand. They're cutting a corner somewhere. But there are certain specific install processes that have to be followed. And we see it just far too often in this industry. Because it's out of sight, because it's in an attic, because people can't see it, or maybe they don't exactly know what they're looking at. People are, and it does sicken to me, but people are being taken advantage of daily in this valley.
Yeah, and I'll end it with this, or Jay, if you have a comment after this, but I would just tell homeowners, if you're going to go cheap, just buy the most basic efficiency unit there is. Because if you buy high efficiency and you don't change the ductwork, you don't change the plenums, you don't do the things necessary, you're going to be paying the same amount of money for utility bills as you would for a 14 series, you would for a 20-plus year. So.
Or we end up coming out a couple years later because, the company that installed it is out of business, or they got frustrated with them. And then, of course, we usually it's a lot more to fix the problem after the fact than it would have been while it was all being torn out, while that new unit was going in. Much cheaper, much easier to fix the problem then. A lot more expensive and a lot more difficult to do it after the fact.
Yep.
Good job.
And also say that Jeff will toot your horn for you a little bit. Jay, you could probably share a little bit more. Jeff has actually got some very specific training and certifications.
And airflow
Qualifies him to go out and help you with those solutions in your home. He's not just shooting from the hip and spitballing. By intent, he's followed up on some programs and some trainings to do that.
Yeah, he's educated himself quite
Jeff
a bit.
is BPI certified, which went through and got that certification, which is not an easy one to do, and it's not cheap to do either. So it's it's definitely an impressive accolade to have as part of that, and that's all based on airflow efficiencies and how to design a true duct system. I mean, that's really what that certification's all about.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get it as a tech. Even being a licensed journeyman going through an apprenticeship, we looked only at the mechanical aspect of it. And then when I moved out here and got the opportunity to get BPI certified, which is the Building Performance Institute, and actually got a chance to perform energy audits on homes. So we would come in and do a blower door test, pull the house into a negative pressure, come in with an infrared camera and take a look at some of the hot spots. So you're not looking at just even the AC system, but you're looking at the home as an envelope. And where that air is coming in, and, infiltration, things like that, and it's all pressure related. So it's really helped me a ton, even when I was a tech, and then moving into this, kind of more of the consulting role that I'm in now, because I don't look at it as just a box anymore. I look at it as a home.
Yep.
And where's the airflow? Where's the pressure? Where's the heat transfer?
Yep.
Good. So that's why we love having you on the team.
Oh, thank you.
And for you homeowners and listeners out there, if you're here in Phoenix, Arizona, in the Valley, and this is, struck a chord with you and started thinking about all these things that are happening in your home, just the best one in the Valley to have. So give us a call here at Penguin. Look us up online, penguinair.com. And Jeff is a true Penguin Pro. Yep. So thanks for joining us, Jeff.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
And we'll keep having you on here. You're awesome. Jay, thanks for stepping in for Wade.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Not as good looking, but I'm here.
Oh, it's pretty close. So, Wade, get better, and we'll see you next week. Go ahead again, comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see you for episode 24. This is episode 23. So next week we'll have another great show on, and we'll talk to everyone soon. Have a good week, guys.